All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of 435 Wrestling Podcast. We're excited to be here, talk a little bit more about wrestling, the sport we love. Take us off, Jarrett.
Yeah, so we want to get into the scoring today. And like we've said before, one of the big purposes of this podcast is to make wrestling easier to understand to newbies. We get a lot of new people in the sport every year. As a high school coach, a lot of new ninth graders, but also I do help coach some of the younger ages as well. And so I'm hopeful that this video will serve as a resource for people that are just learning wrestling, some of the basics on scoring, and so we'll kind of get into that. But my hope is sometimes I get parents that tell me I don't know what to yell, I don't know the scoring, and so I just yell what I hear the person next to me yell when they're in the stands cheering on their son or daughter. And I don't want it to be that way. I want you as a parent or a sibling, whoever you are, to confidently know if you're yelling three, I want you to know why you're yelling it. Or if
Yeah.
you're yelling stalling, I want you to know why you're yelling stalling. Or whatever it is you're yelling. So we want you guys just to improve your knowledge of wrestling. We feel like that's a big way that we can help wrestling grow in Cache Valley. Just make it more understandable. So we're going to start with some surface level scoring stuff.
Yeah, perfect. And I'll throw this up on the screen here too so we can see this just for a minute while we go over it. But yeah, I love that. You said that 3 there reminded me of that Angelo Ferrari, right? Getting that takedown and just going up 3, right? We want all of our parents to know that hey, that's that takedown there. So all right, I'm throwing this up
Used
here
to
for
be
a minute.
two. You used to be two, right? Everybody just
Yes.
ooh, but last year they changed it to 3 point takedown. So now you yell three.
Okay, so here's our scoring system up right here. It's just, and we're really just going to focus on this top left part here. Where takedown 3 points, escape 1 point, reversal 2, near fall 2, 3, 4, or 5. So there's that. I'm taking it off now, so you can kind of view that was up there for about 25 seconds.
Okay, so we'll start off with the takedown. Explain it a little bit. Um, so basically, wrestlers start in neutral when you start a match, and then there will be times where you start from top or bottom. But whenever you are in neutral, if you are able to get around the opponent and get behind them, so basically either they're on their knees or in high school wrestling, if they're on like their feet and their hands are down on the mat and you're behind them, and in the referee's judgment, you have control, then as a
Yeah.
takedown. And I say in the referee's judgment because sometimes as coaches we say that's three and the ref says well not yet and the other guy maybe hurries and stands up, but it's basically you get him down and you get behind him and the referee says yep you got control.
Yeah.
That's a 3 point takedown.
Exactly. And I'd also say, like we mentioned, it's gone from 2 points to 3 points now. That's a new change. So if you go back and watch some college matches or high school matches from 3 years, 2 years and older, you'll see that it was 2 points for most of them. Well, college maybe it's been 3 for 2 years now, right?
A
So
few years.
yeah, 2 or 3.
But I'll interject also if you watch the international wrestling, freestyle or Greco right now,
Yeah.
they still have a 2 point takedown. So
Yes.
you just that might be confusing, but just know we're talking about high school wrestling and
Folk
collegiate.
style. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're not going to talk about freestyle wrestling today. Maybe in February. In our podcast in February, we'll touch base on freestyle rules. But
Yep.
then
Absolutely.
once you've established that takedown, then we'll go to the next one, which is just an escape. That's once the person on bottom who is being controlled essentially gets away, stands up, breaks that contact, and is turned and faced them. So that is
Yep.
1 point.
1 point escape and so yeah, you clear away from the other guy, you get a point. Now sometimes the referee will say let's say you're almost getting away, it's right at the end of the period, and it's kind of like it's close. We don't know for sure if they got away or not. Sometimes the referee will say, "Oh, that's loss of control, 1 point." So you might not even totally like separate all the way, but if in the referee's judgment the top wrestler loses control, maybe he like sort of has one leg, or I don't know, maybe sort of has like an underhook still, but the other guy's like mostly away, and then let's say time runs out, right? So it wasn't like a clear break. The referee might say, yeah, that's still one loss of control or an escape.
Yeah. And we'll try to get some videos up showing these a little bit better. I don't know if it'll be us demonstrating them or just finding some YouTube videos and interjecting them in here, showing what a takedown looks like, a escape looks like, and then a reversal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want me to keep going with
Yeah,
reversal?
you take us away with reversals.
Okay. So if you're in the bottom position, whether you got taken down and that's why you're in bottom, or sometimes wrestlers will choose down when they get choice in the second or third period. If you start on bottom and instead of getting away, if you reverse position, and so now you're on top and the other guy's on bottom, that's called a reversal. And that's worth 2 points.
Yeah. And kind of like moving on from that as well. I mean, reversals, escapes, ways to score on bottom here. Once you got a takedown, the way to score on top is we call near fall, and that's just exposing their back. All right. So once you've exposed their back to the mat, usually through like a tilt, a half, a bar, anything like that, cradle, you start getting awarded points. So once they start swiping their hand, you'll see the ref go like this: 1, 2. Once they get to 2, that's 2 points. 3, 3 points. 4, 4 points. So you can elaborate on that for a second if you want. I'm looking for one thing up on the rules here that I wanted to say.
Let me give you a little nitty gritty on near fall here for a second. This is the coach in me coming out, because I make sure my wrestlers know these details, because you got to know the details to if you want to win. So for it to be near fall, their back has to be within 4 inches of the mat. So you might have their back exposed, but if they're, I don't know, somehow they got their back in like a weird bridge, or somehow they got their back more than 4 inches above the mat, you will not score near fall as the top wrestler. And then the other criteria is you must have their back at a 45-degree angle or less to the mat for near fall to be scored. So 90-degree, obviously, that would be like their back's like this. If you're able to get them to a 45 or less, then the referee will start counting near fall. And like Clint said, that's where you see the hand wave. Some referees count fast. And if you're the coach of the top wrestler, you like that. If you're the coach of the bottom wrestler, you don't like that.
Yes.
But that's just the way it goes. Some count fast, some count slower. Some, I swear, they wait like a half count before they start counting.
Yeah.
Some go right away. Sometimes, if the period's almost over, sometimes they count faster than they would otherwise. Weird stuff might happen, but that's the rule. It's got to be a 45-degree angle. Their back, and when we're talking their back, specifically the pinning area, which is from the top of the shoulders down to the bottom of the scapula, has to be within a 45-degree angle. So, like if they're sitting up a lot, they might not be within the 4 inches, and they might not also be a 45-degree angle. So you got to get their scapula, that pinning area, exposed to the mat in that way.
And you got that. I was trying to find that 4 inches right here, trying to see what the exact was, but you got it. Right, that's the veteran coach coming out right there, and Coach Morrow. It never left, right? So, but yeah, we love near fall. I mean, we love near fall. We love pinning, and then pinning obviously is where the match ends. Just like you talked about, when you get that pinning position, or you get that pinning zone on the mat, hold them there, and the ref will slap the mat. Get that lovely sound.
I love asking my little league wrestlers how many seconds it takes for a pin, and they all think it's 3 seconds because they've seen
WWE.
WWE somewhere, and the ref goes 1, 2, 3. Well, in real wrestling, it's 2 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, in high school wrestling, in college wrestling, it's actually 1 second,
Yeah.
and you just have to get both sides of the back, both scapula, on the mat for 2 seconds in high school wrestling. It doesn't have to be like the top of both sides. It could be like the bottom of one side is pinned and the top of the other side is pinned. And
Yeah.
that still fulfills the pinning criteria.
Yeah. And yeah, pinning is great. Pinning is one of the best feelings when you're wrestling and you're pinning someone and you're stopping the match. I mean, it's kind of the mercy rule for wrestling. So there's a couple actual mercy rules in wrestling, which we'll touch on real quick. One is pinning, right? So that immediately stops the match. Match is over. You won. We're over. Second one is called a technical fall, where you come in and you score 15 points or more on them. So if you take them down, expose their back, you get a 3-point takedown, 4-point near fall. Then they get back to their belly. You change your hold, all right, so that you then put them on their back again. You do that twice, and voila, it's 15-0. Ref will just call a match right there, and you'll be on your way to the sidelines, enjoying enjoying not having wrestled a 6-minute match.
Yeah. And let me just add, I know, Clint, you meant to say this, but just to clarify, it has to be a 15-point lead.
Yeah,
So
sorry, yes.
15-point mark. Yeah, I know you know that.
Yeah.
To make sure that our listeners
15-14, baby, it's over, right?
so,
No.
so yeah. If they score 15 points, you got to score 30 to get a 10.
Yes. So that made it interesting for the old days of taking them down, letting it up. When you get 2-point takedown, 1-point escape, a lot harder. Now with a 3-point takedown, especially in the college level, we've seen it a lot more. There's a lot more tech falls now.
Yeah. And in the high school ranks, I noticed a lot more
Yeah.
tech falls with the 3-point takedown, and now you can get 4-point near fall, which is also a new rule. Used to be the max you could get was 3. So I mean, if you take a guy down to his back, there's 7 points right there. 2 more turns, you got a tech, which it used to be a lot harder. In my opinion, this is a good change.
Yeah.
Because for a few reasons, I like the 3-point takedown better, because it used to be reversals 2, takedowns 2. Well, a takedown's harder to get than a reversal is. You're taking a guy from his feet, putting him down, and getting behind him. I know some people will argue that point with me, but I think they're crazy. A takedown is definitely harder than a reversal. So to me, it's right that you reward the takedown more points than the reversal. So
reward the aggressor.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but we saw a lot more tech falls this year than we have in the past because of those point rule changes.
And the goal is to have the better wrestler win the match, right? Anybody ever watched a boxing match, UFC, MMA match, right, where they think the guy got robbed, right? The guy that they clearly thought won it, and then even the commentators, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, they didn't. In wrestling, we have a scoring system to really try to emphasize that the better wrestler moves on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good segue, I think, to talk about stalling.
Yeah.
We're not going to get in too deep on this stuff because we want this to kind of be geared for beginners. But what stalling is if you are trying to avoid action, like let's say the other wrestler is getting close to scoring on you, and so you intentionally go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just doing a lot of backing up because you don't want to let the other wrestler get close enough to attack your legs, for example. Another one would be like if you're the bottom wrestler and you're just laying belly down on the mat and you know they can't turn you. Yeah, so you kind of clam up, right? They're not going to turn me, but you're not trying to get away. Yeah. That's stalling. Or if you're the top wrestler is supposed to be trying to turn. So if he's just hanging on to just burn time, right? All those are examples of stalling. So I'll let Clint, if you want to jump in and just talk about how the warnings and points work with that.
Yeah, and stalling is another one of those. It's subjective to the ref, I will say. I know it's a big debate, right? What's stalling and what's not. But I think a lot of refs are pretty consistent about what they call, and you can know what they're looking at, and that's the key, right? We just want consistency from them, and so we can make sure we're avoiding it. The way that stalling works here is that you get one warning. So there's a warning for stalling first of all, and then after that, yep, they'll raise the hand up there. You'll even see people up there
Yes.
saying he's stalling, right? And they're raising their hand. And then after a warning's been given, and they won't always stop. They won't stop the match when a stalling's given. Often,
And that's
sometimes they will, but
um, I'll have to look this up for sure. I believe if the top wrestler is stalling, they're supposed to stop it. I'll have to double check that.
okay.
But most of the time it doesn't stop.
Yeah, like especially on their feet, I know like they'll hit them and they'll keep going. So you can get stalled and then they can hit you again 10 seconds later and just like, hey, you didn't change. You kept backing up. You're not circling. Your back's to the circle or the outer edge
You're
of the
still
circle,
just
not to the
laying,
center.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're still laying on your belly, whatever it
So
might be.
whatever it might be, right? And then after that they get with a point on the second one. So it's warning, point, 2 points, sorry. And then
So
disqualification on the fifth, right?
he goes one, yeah. So you get warning,
Warning,
one,
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 two,
two,
DQ.
disqualification. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I might have thrown an extra one in there, who knows? So
that's all right. But so yeah, so if you get to that point, you lose the match, and it's as if the other wrestler got a pin. When we talk about
yeah.
team points, which we will get into more on another episode, but um, it's like it's almost, yeah, it's like a pin. The other guy gets rewarded as if he'd pinned you.
Yes. And I think this brings us to another one that we'll touch base on real quick, which is cautions. We'll just briefly go over cautions because we don't want to overwhelm anyone with all this, you know, small stuff. But cautions as well. This happens typically when you're top and bottom. So kind of how wrestling works with our scoring. You start on your feet, okay, and then at a tournament setting, they'll flip a coin going into the second period, where then if you're red or green, whoever gets that gets a choice of deferring, top, bottom, or neutral. And so if you choose down, obviously you're at that, and then the other person gets the third period choice as well. But when you start on bottom, let's say, and you're looking at the ref, seeing when he's going to blow that whistle, and you go before he blows that whistle, that's just a caution. That's like it's a false start. So you get two of those before a point would be awarded. Jared can go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. So you had two freebies on the false start, and then if you hit a third one, the other guy gets a point. Um, I tell you a quick story with cautions. I wrestled at a junior college, North Idaho College, in college, and I was in my blood round match at nationals. Went to overtime, and we went to the top and bottom where each guy does ride outs. And the other guy had two cautions on him already, and I was on bottom first, where you go 30 seconds on bottom, and then the other guy goes 30 seconds on top. Um, that's just an overtime thing, which we'll probably get into another day. But anyway, he already had two cautions, and I knew it. And he had a false start going into that 30-second overtime, and the ref said, "Oh, my bad, my mistake.
Ooh,
I blew the whistle late." And but when that happened, I remembered that he had two cautions, and so I thought I'm gonna try to induce this guy to give me another caution to give me an extra point, because this is overtime. This is my blood run. I got to win this match to be an All American. And so he kind of gets set, and I flinched my back just a little bit early, and I got him to jump,
yes.
and I got my point. So I got that caution point, and then I was able to get away. Um, and then he actually ended up choosing top on his turn, because he's like, I'm down by
You
two.
got to turn.
I turn him. So anyway, I guess maybe you think I gamed the system there a little bit. I look at it as strategy. But I was able to win an important match there. Punched through the blood round, and I remember afterwards I overheard the other kid's dad muttering, "Oh, lost on a dang technicality." So
And caution points are rare. I mean, I don't think I even saw one last year, and all my
They,
ones that I coached, all the matches I coached.
they are, and really being a blood round match, that's probably the only caution point I got in my whole life. Like I
Yeah,
don't think I ever got another one.
it was crazy. Such an
But
important match too.
well, and I think that's why it happened because it was
Yeah,
blood round, and so you get a little tense because you're like, I got to win this match. I
yeah.
got to be right on time. I'm trying to get anything you can, and so I kind of found a way to use that against him.
Kind of circling back to the rules, so I think that that covers a lot of like our very basic pointing, how the way you're going to score in your matches, and we're going to get to that
Yeah,
takedown, escape,
maybe
reversal.
I want to maybe touch on one other thing with the escape
Hmm.
takedown. So sometimes you'll see where a wrestler escapes and then immediately he turns and takes a shot on the other guy.
Yeah,
And what you'll see is there has to be enough separation before he gets in on the other guy's legs or gets behind him. There has to be like a 1 second separation. If not, then the referee will say that's just a reversal instead of an escape and then a takedown, if that makes sense. So you kind of, it's kind of dumb. Like, it's like, yeah, you should attack right away. But if you do it too soon, the ref's going to say you only get 2 point reversal instead of 1 point escape and then 3 point takedown. So there's just got to be that little separation right when you get an escape.
yep, exactly. Perfect. I think one thing we wanted to show here now too is
Talk about the pin.
yeah.
All right. We got to set the stage here a little bit.
Yeah, you go, you take it away while I get it prepped.
You bet. So, one of the unique things about wrestling and high school sports is we have the pin, which means you can win a match in which you are losing on the score. Um, I had a wrestler, I believe it was 2019. We were down. His name was Jackson Hall. We were down at the Wasatch Duels, and he was losing to a wrestler going into the third period from South Summit. The score was he was down by 14, right? 15 points as a tech fall. No, excuse me, I misspoke. He was down by 13, and the other wrestler picked down, and he got away to go up by 14. And Jackson immediately threw him in a head and arm and pinned him, squeezed like crazy,
Yep.
and pinned him. So at that point in time, he'd only been given 2 point takedown because back then takedowns were only two, and would have got three near fall, but hadn't got it yet. So really, he was losing by 12 points, and he won the match, which is which is unique, right? In football, you can't win a game if you're losing on points. Soccer, you can't win a game losing on points. Any other sport, right? You can't win.
Yeah.
You can't win. The only exception are other martial arts where you get somebody to tap out or you knock somebody out.
Yep.
Right? But wrestling has the pin, which is the instant win, even though you're losing on points. So the great thing about that is, even if you're getting your butt kicked, you should still keep trying. You should still keep wrestling because you still have a chance, right? You could still win. So just wanted to set that stage a little bit for the pin.
Yeah, and that kind of comes back to like one of our focus and a lot of things that we constantly talk about, right? It's like, hey, have that growth mindset, have that thought process on always looking to improve your position, working to score because you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't you want to be the person not giving up. You want to be the person always looking to score because you catch someone, right? You might just catch them. You can beat people better than you, right? Just because
Yeah.
you won the match doesn't mean you're the better wrestler, but you were the better wrestler that match. Even if you were down, like your guy was down 14 points, that's crazy to come back
Yeah.
and pin him. So
And there, um, there's another example I wanted to share just real quick.
yeah,
But one thing I tell my kids is you can beat anyone.
yeah,
You might not beat them on points, but you can pin anyone, right? There
yep,
might be guys who are so good, the only way you can beat them is to pin them. But you truly can beat anyone with a pin, which we're going to get to that video in just a moment. But this one brought a tear to my eye. Coaching. Sometimes I'm not the most emotional guy, but you're barking. You're at these gyms for a long period of time. Your mental state gets just exhausted, and sometimes the tears come. And we were out at Reno one year with a kid named Peter Jepson, and a really tough kid. It's his senior year, and he's wrestling some kid from, I don't remember, California or something like that. And he gets cradled and put on his back, and he fights on his back in the first period for, I'm not kidding, over a minute. Doesn't get pinned. Second period, that kid picks top on Peter. He cradles him again, and Peter fights on his back another 45 seconds, but he stays alive. He doesn't get
Yeah.
pinned. We get to the third period. I'm going, Peter, pick top. Don't go down, because Peter was also good on top. So he picks top, slaps the same move on the kid had done on him, slaps on a cradle, puts the kid on his back, and has him pinned within 12 seconds. And that one just chokes you up when you see that, because you're like, dude, you just, for over half the match, you just fought off your back and you
Yeah.
didn't give up. And you broke him. You
Yep.
got him. He didn't last 10 seconds on his back when you lasted 3 minutes on your back. I mean, just stuff like that as a coach, that gets to you. So, but anyway,
And,
just a quick aside, shout out to Peter. He's probably, I think he's on a mission right now, so he's probably not going to see this, but that was an awesome match.
and we love the local examples of this too, right? I mean, we want to shout out and recognize those local wrestlers that have this happen, and especially ones in Cache Valley, because I think is when you look at it on like a national stage. I mean, look at Ohio State Penn State duel, right? Luke Lildahl takes what's his name down. I can't remember the Ohio State wrestler. Takes him down twice in the first period, rides him out, just dominating. Second period, shoots down, gets pinned in a cradle in 12 seconds. Right? Same thing. Like, it's just that's the beauty part of wrestling. I mean, you got world champion Luke Lildahl getting pinned by not a nobody, but someone that did an All American, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and I like that you said that, Clint, about the local examples, because, I mean, there's another reason why you should get your kids into wrestling. Like, as we talk about some of these stories of resilience, like I just said with Peter, and I mentioned Jackson Hall earlier, losing a match big and they find a way to come back and get a pin, like that's resilience, right? I
yeah,
mean, but these are like everyday examples in wrestling.
yeah,
Like this isn't just like college wrestlers, the international wrestlers. Like, you get to see these cool stories all the time in wrestlers right here where we live. So
yeah. And kind of like even before we get to this video here, I think it's interesting. Like we were talking about this the other day, wrestling people that you've beaten before and then losing to them, or wrestling someone that you lost to and then like working to beat them. I think it's really interesting when we have those scenarios come up, because I remember a few years ago, Jackson, one of our wrestlers at 190, dominated this other wrestler from Mountain Crest during the dual meet. Like I'm pretty sure it was pretty close to a tech fall, right? Just beating the crap out of him. Then we come and wrestle him a few weeks later at Davey Swenson's tournament. Well, I can't remember the tournament name. I think it's the Swenson, right? Invitational.
just one thing invitational. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we lost. We lost after such a dominant performance, right? And I think that really messes with people's mentality, right? Where you come from this side of completely one-sided match into, hey, I don't know if I just wasn't there, if I took him too lightly, or what was it, right? And solving that through. I know you've had some of those scenarios in your career. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, you may be alluding to. I had a rival my senior year in high school named Wyatt Ray. Awesome guy, raised your awesome family, and I say an awesome rival because he pushed me so much. And this is just a quick aside, but one of the best things you can do in wrestling is have a rival,
Yeah.
because it makes you dig deeper and want to get better, right? And so I wrestled Wyatt my whole life growing up, and was always able to get the better of him. However, Wyatt was a really hard worker. Like, he always did club wrestling, always did off-season wrestling, worked his butt off.
Yeah.
Wyatt actually won state his junior year. Um, I won it my sophomore year, did not win as a junior, and we ended up the same weight class senior year. So you had two different state champs coming up against each other. But in my mind, it was like it's always going to be the same. I've always beat Wyatt. I'm
Yeah.
always going to. But he surprised me that year. I pinned him the first time we wrestled that year, but then after that, it was always close. Beat him by 2 in the duel, beat him by 1 at the Rockwell Rumble. And I told this funny story. Wyatt took me down, scored 2 points. I scored 3 points off of a penalty point. I got a point for him stalling, and I got an escape. Somehow
No
I
takedown.
scraped together 3 points. Couldn't even get a takedown somehow in that match. Um, Wyatt ended up beating. I faced him again at region. Back then it was region instead of divisionals. Wyatt beat me in the region finals, and it was a great wake up call. I hadn't taken Wyatt seriously, which I needed to. Right, every match it got closer,
Yeah.
but in my head it just hadn't. Like even though it was obvious he was much better wrestler and could compete with me, in my head it was like I'll beat him like always. And so anyway, it ended up being the best thing for me that he beat me because I did some real soul searching, and I did a lot of extra running and a lot of extra visualizing. Right, I mean, I say extra run. I was on the treadmill thinking about like what am I going to do to beat him at state this week. Like it was a hunger. I stayed after practice more to try to combat. I watched the film of him beating me like at least 10 times. I had my mom in the living room. She was cheering me on. She's like, "Let's practice." She simulated Wyatt the way he would wrestle, and so I mean, I'm grateful for the great family support she and my
Yeah.
dad gave me. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my twin brother, who was my practice partner for my whole life as well. But kind of building me up, and we wrestled again in the state finals, and I was able to get the better of him. But at any rate, sorry that was a long
No.
aside, but it kind of messes with your mind a
Yeah.
little bit. You doubt yourself, and I went through kind of this some tears and then some anger, like I can't believe I let this happen. And then finally, it was like, okay, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do to make sure I can beat him? This doesn't happen again.
But I like how you said you visualized yourself winning, right? You visualized what you were gonna do. You fixed your mindset, right? Because we talk about mindset all the time, and like how do you have a good mindset? Everyone talks about well, you got to be mentally strong. How do you be mentally strong? I think it's in times like this that you become mentally strong when you face the adversity and then you push through, right? You accept it. Hey, I lost. Hey, that sucked. Hey, it didn't go my way. And then you find a plan on how to fix that, right? I'm going to improve my stance. I'm going to down block. I'm going to work into my setups and have a good penetration and good finishes, whatever it may be. But that's how you get mentally strong is by facing the adversity and game planning to overcome it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wyatt had a great fake and a great blast double. That's what he took me down with.
Yeah.
Even when I beat him at Rockwell, he took me down with that. And then the region finals, he took me down with that. And it wasn't until I lost that I was like, okay, I need to actually pay attention to this. And then I started having people simulate it. And to me, the toughness is really in saying, even though I lost last time, doesn't mean I'm gonna lose again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But what made the difference for me, I feel like, was the preparation.
Yeah.
Was instead of going into it with my same normal game plan, you know, I had to pay attention and say, I got to look for this, and I got to be ready to stop that.
Yeah.
And I prepared myself physically with the reps and mentally with the visualization so that in the moment of the match, like, I didn't have to do any thinking because I'd
Yep.
already done all the thinking. It was like
It's
just let
about
it happen.
executing
Let the
now.
moment
It's
there. Yeah,
executing now. And
yeah,
to kind of go into finish what I was talking when I was saying too, with our local story, like with Jackson, he lost him at Swenson, then we ended up wrestling him in the state finals that year. And because we had done kind of the same things that Jarrett had done, we'd prepped, we'd talked about it, we'd envisioned ourselves winning, right? And said, hey, I am the best. I deserve to be here. I deserve to win this match, and I'm going to do everything I can to do it, right? We ended up winning that as well. Not through a pin, nothing too fancy. We just slipped a headlock, so nothing too crazy.
I remember watching that match in the stands.
Yeah.
3-2 barn burner, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But if he's gonna, if you're able to, I'll take a takedown any way I can get it in a close match like that.
Yeah. Well, I actually got a stall call, I think, to tie up the match. Like, the ref called Jackson for stalling, actually, like, with 20 seconds left, and that was one of those moments where you're like, don't yell at the ref, don't yell at the ref. But yeah, we ended up getting the takedown and winning, so that's okay.
I can guarantee you I would have been yelling at the ref in that moment.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do, and I probably would have regretted it later, but in the moment, I'd been doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to stop the time, all those things go ahead. But regardless, let's move on to this real quick. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah. Let me just say, in the resilience that we're talking about and how wrestling has that instant win with the pin.
Yeah.
This is a pretty dramatic example. So the 2002 NCAA finals, I believe it was 197 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Clint. But we had two wrestlers. It was Rob Roan versus, remind me the first name of Lambrecht.
Josh
Lambrecht. And they were wrestlers that were 1-1 against each other. They had wrestled the year before, and Lambrecht had won, and then they'd wrestled that same year, and Roan had won. So they're 1-1 against each other. And what we're going to watch here is Lambrecht is going to blow the match wide open. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, and don't mind my poor editing skills here as I try to get us to transition here, but I'll have this muted for a sec. You can see it's the second period right now. There's 40 seconds left, and we just got a takedown.
Yeah, score was 2-2. Now we went ahead 4-2, and then he gets in on this tilt.
Yes, exactly. Gets in on his tilt, gets 3 points there. It's 2-7, and I can have this audio on if you want it as well.
Yeah, I think at the end of the second, it gives us
another 3 points for Lambert.
But so he tilts him.
And he's blowing this match
times,
open.
So you can see it's 7-2.
3 points for Lambert.
3 more now. It's
10-2 now the score.
And I think
the Oklahomans got some breathing room.
He's been to the Nationals.
12-2 going into the third period. If I was up 12-2 in a national title match, I feel pretty darn good about my chances right there.
Yeah. I had that sound going over at the same time. Sorry there for a minute.
I am so sorry.
No, you're good.
Just tell me to shut up when it's time.
I'll turn the sound back on for it. We can listen to this for a minute here.
Wrestling history in our next weight classification. But before then, we're looking at a 10-point lead in the third period for Josh Lambrecht, who's about to win a national championship. His first as a junior from Oklahoma.
Yeah, and even you hear the commentator right there saying Josh Lambert's about to win his national championship, right?
And Lambert just seems to be piling on.
14-2,
Sometimes
12-point
styles
lead.
clash,
You got a
and
minute
what
and a
really has
half
been the difference
left in the
is on
NCAA
top.
final.
Lambert has turned Roan twice, no, 3 times.
Roan keeps fighting, gets an escape,
and he's blown this match
11.
open. 14.
Boom, beautiful.
Beautiful cement mixer.
Yeah.
And things happen quickly here. Roan looking for the fall.
Dylan Tweed. Shout out to Dylan Tweed. Cement mixer, baby.
That's right. His favorite move, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute it here and we can kind of talk about it, right? He's literally down. I mean, it's 5-14 right here.
And
184-pound national championship match, right?
And first, I actually want to talk about Lambrecht. He's got a huge lead. What he's doing right now is not easy. He is fighting off a pin. He got put on his back with about 1:15 left. We're going on 45 seconds fighting off his back. And remember, in college, it's only a 1-second pin. So, I mean, he's fighting like mad. He knows all I got to do is not get pinned and I'm a national champ.
Yep. Only way that he loses this by getting pinned, and I'll say there's a slap of the mat right there. That's tough, and that's a tough position to be in. That is tight.
Yeah. Yeah, Roan knew how to finish that. He did a good job of locking that up and finishing the pin there. And he had to fight for it. Like we said, that was a minute, right? He had
Yeah.
Lambrick on his back for a minute. And if you go back and find that match at some point, you'll hear the announcer say at the end something like, "I got to eat my words. I just said that Lambrick was going to win."
Yeah.
And obviously, Roan, even though he was down big, didn't give up.
Yep.
Right, and that's the resilience piece right there.
And I haven't mentioned it yet, but one of the things we love yelling is be a pinner, right? It's a choice to be a pinner. So work for those pins, focus on pinning. You know, it's one thing I know that we're always drilling is drill to pins, right? Because in wrestling, it's there. It's meant, it's something that we should be working towards.
Yeah, yeah. Pins obviously is the auto win, the immediate win, but it's also from the team score standpoint.
Yeah.
When we're talking about like a dual meet or in a tournament, the maximum points given come from pins too. So as a coach, I'm always like, get the pins, find a way to pin. Like that's great. Like it's even better than a 15-point tech fall. You get more points for a pin, right? And
Yep.
that might sound weird because 15 points is like that's hard to do. You will get up by 15 points, and a pin you could get a pin with one move, but pins are still worth more points. That's just the way the sport is built. So
Yeah.
pinning's a beautiful thing. Wrestling's a beautiful thing because you always have a reason to keep trying. You're always in a match still because you have a chance to pin the guy.
And I think that about wraps up our episode for the most part on scoring and some of the basic rules of wrestling, along with some nice anecdotes from Jarrett and myself a little bit. All right, too. Trying to get in some stories here from 435 Cache Valley Wrestling. So we appreciate you all on joining us and hope to see you on the next episode as well. Anything else, Jarrett?
Thanks for listening.
Perfect. We'll see you guys next time.